creating conversations that you can always share. That's what we do on arrow.net, ARROE.net. Let's do it. Let's play it forward. These are real people, real stories. Episode number 430 is with legendary author Mark Greaney.
Hey, Arrow. I'm doing great. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Always excited to read one of your books because it gives me the opportunity to have that edge of your seat without leaving my seat. And you create movies in my imagination.
Well, that's fantastic. I kind of write cinematically, and I've learned to do that over the years, and I think that adds something to the story. So it's nice to hear that you see it that way.
Do you hear music when you're writing? Because I mean, if you're going to write in that direction, I mean, I would have to have that bum 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 going in the background.
I've tried that, and it didn't really work for me. I just listened to white noise. I listen to the sound of rain in my headphones when I write. Yeah. But I've always thought, like, what if I get a real pulse-pounding soundtrack going back there? But then I just find myself listening to the music too much. I think it's an excuse for me to procrastinate. But yeah, theoretically, it seems like that would work. But for me, my brain just needs dead air around me.
Have you ever tried any of that frequency music? Like mine is 528. That's where I can really get into the creative element.
I've done that to sleep, and it's specifically to sleep. But I haven't done it for writing. I should play around with that and see if. I'm always looking for some sort of trick to make this easier.
Well, the new book is called Sierra 6. I mean, it's another gray man novel. I mean, dude, what Court Gentry does in this, you're taking him back to his roots. What was that like as a writer? Because continuity's got to be spot on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that was a danger. I find myself just sort of like wandering into minefields all the time with my writing. And I didn't really think of that through. I always wanted to go back and tell an origin story, but I thought the problem with that was, well, everybody knows your hero's alive and kicking in the present, so where's the tension? But then I thought, like, what if I come up with something that happened in the past that affects things that happen in the present? So I ended up with two 80,000-word novels that are all woven together as one. And there was a lot of going back to earlier books because I'll be like, did I say that he was never in Egypt? He needs to have been in Egypt, And there's a million little things like that you try and get right for the continuity. And if I made a single mistake, I will probably get an email today about it from a fan, but hopefully I didn't.
Yeah, but don't you love the way that they keep us in check, though, those that listen or those that read our stuff? It's like they'll call you out on it.
Oh, they'll absolutely call you out on it. And I found myself starting to write just to stop the emails. So I would put in more detail or over-explain things so somebody didn't say, well, why didn't he take the flight from Denver, or something. And then I realized, well, that's not really adding to the story. That's just me trying to cover my butt for those emails. So I just take the slings and arrows as they come and do my best.
Well, you had kind of a twist this time around, kind of a ghostly twist. I don't want to be a spoiler here, but there's kind of a twist to it this time.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, the past timeline, there's some blowback from it that affects things in the present. So Court sees somebody that he thought was long dead, and the fact that he's not dead is only bad news. And it's a very personal story for the series in ways that not many of the books are. The thing that happened in the past was very tragic to Court and has affected him throughout his life. So he really wants to make amends for it. So you literally have two different ticking time bombs in this story, from the past and from the present, and everything kind of weaves together at the end.
So I know for a fact that you love to really do your research, and you do your show prep in a huge way. What was it like to this time around, since you're going back to go forward?
Well, I did a lot of research on where we were in the global war on terrorism 12 years ago, because this takes place the past timeline takes place along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border.
Oh, wow.
And involves CIA paramilitaries. And in the present, it takes place in India. And I go to locations as much as I can, but with COVID, it was a nightmare. I tried to get in on a tourist visa, and then I tried to get in on a business visa, and then finally it just wasn't going to happen. But I made friends with a woman in Mumbai who's a writer herself, and she did a lot of location research and was on the ground and sent me pictures and all that to get the details right. But ordinarily, I think I've been to 36 countries doing research for books, and I go whenever there's no global pandemic preventing me.
Do you ever get into one of those situations where you are taking notes and stuff like that? Because I know that in Charlotte, if you take pictures of the uptown area, they start watching you to find out if you're some sort of spy. Do you run into that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten myself in trouble before. Twice it's been with Americans overseas. I like taking pictures outside the U.S. consulate in Paris. You know, they came over and roughed me out of there. And it was a lesson learned. But yeah, no, I was down in, where was that? Guatemala, and had a run-in with the police because I was trying to do some location research and taking pictures. And I mean, it's reasonable to wonder what this guy is doing, and so I don't begrudge them for it, but I do try and get as much as I can without getting in trouble.
Yeah, that's only happened to me one time, but boy, they use sharp words and they use actions in the way that are threats because I mean they want that camera, they want everything inside it.
Yeah, they're trained to stop you from doing things like that. So that's what's trained into them. A buddy of mine, Brad Taylor, who's a really great thriller writer, he was actually arrested by the secret police in an African nation for taking pictures and asking questions near their special forces school, and he spent several hours in custody. So
during Sierra 6, in writing it, did you have to do anything like you've done in the past where you took stunt driving courses? I mean, because you write in a way to where I'm feeling what you were experiencing.
Yeah, well, that's great. I've learned scuba diving, and I became an avid scuba diver because I used it in the books, and I took stunt driving courses because I used that in the books. I got to fly backseat in an F-18 fighter last year. That's not in a Gray Man novel, but it's in another book that I'm doing for research. For this one, I just did some shooting and some, talked to some people about medicine, talked to some people about certain types of skydiving that, civilians don't do. And it was, just put together with knowledge that I'd had from researching other books as well.
This morning on iHeartRadio, I took on the challenge of captive versus captivating. When you write a series like this, the Gray Man novel series, are you captive to the series, or are you just like we are? We are captivated by it and we can't let it go, so therefore we always get something from it.
Well, that's a great question. I have kind of designed the series to make it captivating to me. I don't have to have every one of my characters in each book as far as like your heroes in every book, but there's some series where, there's 10 or 12 supporting characters that for some reason are in every single novel. And I think that would be very limiting because you sort of have to tell the same type of story. And so I've gone out of my way not to do that. I've also gone out of the way to change my hero's relationship with the CIA and his relationship with his love interest and all these things to keep it fresh. I mean, and I want it to be fresh for the reader, but, selfishly, I want it to be fresh for me, too, so I can keep cranking them out.
The Gray Man on the big screen, do you go in there and you watch it through the writer's eyes, or do you get to go in there and be a real person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to find out. I'm 99% sure I'll write it as the writer's eye. Watch it as the writer's eyes.
Yeah.
I read the shooting script last year as they were filming it and could see everything that happened. And it's almost like when you're a writer that when you read the screenplay, that's your payoff. Like seeing the actors do these things is going to be great, but like reading it on the page, I feel like almost feel like I've already seen it. And it's it'll certainly be exciting for it to come out, but the books will always be the same. The movies will always be the same. The screenplay is fantastic. So I'm happy to see it come out.
Oh, I hope I get to talk to you before it does so that I can get the real excitement after you've seen it.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Absolutely. Dude, come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Arrow, thank you so much. You've been with me for a long, long time, and I really appreciate it.
You bet, man. Will you be brilliant today, okay?
All right, you too. Take care.